This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Big tech, 100%. They are trying to tilt elections within the United States. They are trying to keep the truth from U.S. citizens. They are skewing public opinions intentionally. They are absolutely trying to blue pill the electorate. I'm talking about actual election interference, not this $100,000 that a Russian bot farm purchased in terms of Facebook ads in 2016 to try to misinform a few people. I'm talking about billions and billions of dollars from the biggest companies on the face of the earth. I'm going to go through them one at a time, from least offensive to greatest in terms of offense, and then I'm going to wrap it all up in the end and tell you the overall strategy that they're doing. So I hope you stick with me for that. Apple. Apple simply doesn't have the same media reach that the other companies that I'm going to mention do, so it might not be for lack of woke desire, but in terms of the lack of scope that they have in terms of disseminating their views, that might rank Apple at the bottom of this list. But listen to this.
All lives matter is often used in response to the phrase, Black Lives Matter, but it does not represent the same concerns. To learn more about the Black Lives Matter human rights movement, visit blacklivesmatter.com.
This is a human-based editorial decision pointing me to BLM propaganda that until a couple of days ago on their website openly advocated for disruption of the nuclear family, which as a father of two I find to be an absolutely abhorrent idea. This is directing me to an ideology, and basically our AI overlords are telling me what I need to embrace. How could this not affect some people? We trust our phones with our schedule, with tracking our birthdays, with telling us what to do next. We don't need our phone to be redirecting us to your preferred ideology as programmers, as Tim Cook. Thank you, but no. Facebook. I often get complaints that my videos cannot be seen on Facebook, that they are unavailable. It's not just me. You can take a look at the recent Project Veritas expose on Facebook where the moderators had active antipathy towards conservative or Trump causes, that they censored pro-Trump material intentionally, even if it wasn't necessarily violating Facebook guidelines. Last week, Facebook announced that immigration, one of Trump's primary campaign topics, cannot be spoken of on the platform, that the campaign cannot be speaking about immigration. Speak the name of the Ukrainian whistleblower and automatically your video gets removed, your post gets deleted. And wait a second, I'm going to hold off a little bit of criticism on Facebook. This is why Facebook ranks near the bottom of the list. Mark Zuckerberg did not give in to the demands of the left ideologues who advocated for boycotting companies that continue to promote their brands on Facebook until Facebook enacted the hate speech laws that they wanted. So let's give a moment of notice to Mark Zuckerberg and a thumbs up for having done so. Give that baby a like. By no means does Facebook get a pass, but at least there's some resistance to the censorship on Zuck's part, despite what many of his woke underlings would advocate for. Twitch. Congrats to Twitch for being the first to ban Donald Trump's campaign entirely off of their platform for, of course, hate speech. This amorphous term that seems to engulf more and more each time that it's said. Why let the sitting president of the United States reach his constituents on your platform when you can prevent it? Way to go, Jeff Bezos. Way to go, Twitch. Right in line with the Washington Post, the Washington Compost, which you own as well. Bravo, good sir. Twitter. Twitter is now fact-checking Donald Trump's tweets. When Trump says that mail-in ballots will likely lead to fraud, this is an opinion. Of course, Twitter fact-checks this. You're fact-checking an opinion, and you're sending it off to leftist sources to debunk his original tweet. Of course, the very same day that they did that, did so. These sources were proven incorrect, the fact check sources, when there was mail-in fraud in West Virginia, for Republicans in this case, and also in New Jersey, where 3,000 mail-in ballots were labeled fraudulent, and no less than the NAACP asked for a re-election. Their fact-checking of Donald Trump's opinions, underline the word opinions, is a major red flag. And they're doing it with increasing frequency. They aren't even being shy about it anymore. They've got Yael Ralph, the exec in charge of their Ministry of Truth, a 1984 reference, by the way. He is denigrating the constituents. He has in the past denigrated the constituents who voted for Trump, calling also the president a racist tangerine who got votes only from flyover states. He called the administration Nazis and compared Kellyanne Conway to Joseph Goebbels, the Nazis' chief propagandist. You think that you're going to get a fair shake from him, from anybody that biased? They banned one of the great meme makers, Carpe Dunctum, for satirically mocking CNN using copyrighted images, which was clearly, according to many copyright lawyers, fair use. They took down the administration's tribute to George Floyd for the same reason, making it unavailable, allowing the left to say that Trump didn't even honor the death of George Floyd. When he actually did, they just took it down. Of course, it's a complete double standard because they don't hold Democrats responsible nearly as often for manipulated media or lies. Plenty of lies. They are actively suppressing tweets from the President of the United States, which are at minimum newsworthy information. They banned conservatives for using the term derisively learn to code to mock leftist journalists who lost their jobs, who had previously done so to coal miners using the same little slogan. The double standards and propagation of leftist ideas and the suppression of conservative voices seems obvious even to the most casual of observers. Reddit. Reddit 4 months ago decided to suspend the subreddit r/TheDonald, which was one of the great facilitators of Trump's original election victory. They shared plenty of memes, made fun of the left, and 4 months ago this year, this election year, they decide that this is no good and they suspend it. I'd like to see them do that to the reverse of that subreddit, the opposite, which is a leftist subreddit, which is r/politics, where if you say the slightest thing in favor of the administration, if you have a conservative bent, you get piled on, you get pummeled. It's just nonstop leftist propaganda with plenty of hate speech for conservatives. The double standard is there. But not only did they do that, just last week, Reddit decided to purge hundreds of predominantly conservative subreddits that included right-wing LGBT, obviously some people in the alphabet that were promoting conservative speech. Of course, for hate speech, you figure that their intersectionality and all those points that they have might protect them. But no, because Reddit is trying to squash the conservative voice. They are trying to ensure that some leftist takes over power because this is how the founders and the board of the site lean. In addition to that, they exhumed the body of r/TheDonald, which hasn't really been posted to since it was suspended because you can't post there, and they destroyed the body. They exhumed the body and then they destroy it publicly. They just obliterate it. They ban the subreddit that nobody had posted to in 4 months. Just for good show. Just to show you their political bent, as if we aren't divided up enough as a nation. Well done, Reddit. You earn your place second on the top of the list, right behind Google. I reserve the lion's share of my vitriol for Google, the most powerful company on the web with the greatest number of users and technology that just would knock your socks off if you knew what they were developing. I personally am a long-term shareholder in Google and have a lot of my family's wealth tied up with the company. So when I go against my own financial well-being, you can tell the sincerity of which somebody means what they say. there is a great deal of skin in the game that I'm willing to sacrifice because I just believe that Google is 100% wrong in terms of what they're doing. Google was caught on Project Veritas cameras announcing that they don't want a repeat of Donald Trump. Founder Sergey Brin, circa 2016, said that he was deeply offended by Trump's victory. Employees of Google have stated over and over that the company would do what it took to prevent Trump from winning again. This was caught on camera. This was stated to various reputable sources and journalists. Let's take a look at the second largest search engine in the world, YouTube, where you are watching this video. They've been eliminating conservative voices from their platform. Stefan Molyneux had close to 1 million subscribers and 10 years worth of work. And just the other day, 5 days ago, had his channel axed, removed. I've watched some of his videos. I don't see anything hateful in there. He gives his opinion in concise and measured tones. Google doesn't even feel like they owe their creators a response to give you a reason why YouTube is blocking you, is destroying everything that you've worked for. They seem to do so with impunity. This is theft, is absolute theft. To work that hard to engage so many users for long periods of time and then without warning vaporize your operation for an unknown reason is a flat-out violation of the inherent agreement between creator and platform. Would Molyneux have faced the YouTube guillotine had he been voicing from the left-hand side of the aisle? It seems unlikely. Really, there are far, far, far worse people on the left advocating their positions, their very hateful positions. And interestingly enough, the announcement of Molyneux, along with many others having their YouTube channels axed, happened on the same day that Reddit purged their 100 of mainly conservative subreddits from its platform on the amorphous charge of hate speech. Do you think that it's random that these purges happened on the same day? Safety in numbers, there's more people to direct your vitriol at, right? It makes sense. It's logical if you're going to be doing that to coordinate. My own videos, which have zero swearing, almost, and zero violence, are often put on the restricted list. Similarly, Prager University, who have a conglomeration of Stanford, Harvard professors, very knowledgeable people from around the world and successful men and women, have their videos regularly put on the restricted list, meaning that they're less likely to reach young children. The indoctrination cannot be done from the right-hand side of the aisle. Let's leave that to the leftists who will advance critical race theory for them to listen to. I mean, for Christ's sake, Prager's video about the 10 Commandments was restricted. And when YouTube was hauled in front of Congress, a Google exec said the following.
The restrictions are purportedly for blocking things like pornography, but apparently in YouTube's world, talking about the 10 Commandments and the nation of Israel is comparable and should be blocked.
Respectfully, Senator, that's not right.
Okay. Please explain.
So that don't want to have their viewers exposed to more mature content. The video, I believe the 10 Commandments video, for instance, contains references to murder and I believe potentially Nazism or World War II, something along those lines.
And here's Dennis's rejoinder.
Just to respond on the issue of the Ten Commandments video that was placed on the restricted list by Google. The representative from Google mentioned that a reason that it would be on the restricted list was that it contains mentions of murder. So I was thinking I have a solution that will, I think, appeal to Google. I will re-release it as the 9 Commandments. That should solve the problem.
Well, of course. Wouldn't the postmodernists absolutely love to slowly chip away at the number of commandments? Regardless, the point is that Google is essentially a monopoly and that they have the ability to silence voices without a lot of pushback. In an email from a Google employee named Liam Hopkins that Project Veritas claims was sent as part of a Google transparency and ethics group, and internal communication shows that Google classified PragerU, aforementioned, Jordan Peterson, and Ben Shapiro's as Nazis using the dog whistles. Great. Anybody who disagrees with you is a Nazi, and that's how you're classified at Google. Do you think that you're going to get fair treatment from them? Jen Janai, after being exposed in one of these groups' videos, undercover work, stated, in fact, Google has no notion of political ideology in its rankings, and everything I have seen backs this up. Our CEO has said we do not bias our products to favor any political agenda. He's somewhat more powerful and authoritative than me. Okay, so I really wanted to test whether there was any truth in Ms. Janai's statement. I decided that I would go in and check and do some searches on Google and specifically request things that would give me naturally a conservative bias to test. And I'm sure that many of you guys have likely noted that Google seems to be yielding far more left-wing results than they used to. So I did a search for Sean Hannity was correct. 7 of the 10 on the first page, which is basically all that people ever go to, are left-wing sources. The other 3, Wikipedia, Pew Research, and Political Fact, are more neutral in their orientation. So I'm searching for something that should lend itself to giving me results of conservative bias, and 7 of the 10 are left-leaning. Washington Post, New York Times, etc., etc. The Guardian. Ugh. Look, I'm not going to bore you with search after search. I can definitely tell you that I noticed a pronounced left-leaning bias every time that I did issue a new search for something. You guys can go ahead and experiment for yourself. So how is it all working? Google and other big tech companies are absolutely trying to shade the US elections. They're actually fairly overt about it. It is an obvious bias that they have. They want to remove Donald Trump for any possible reason. Now, normally I would say that this is because they want more money. You can definitely follow the money trail in most of these activities. Because Silicon Valley is so rich and these founders have more money than they could ever spend, I really think that what has supplanted the currency of dollars is in fact power. That is what they are after. They are after the ego stroke of having influenced the United States, the history and the trajectory that we are taking. And this is really scary stuff because once again, you're playing to an ideology. US elections are generally fairly close. Unlike North Korea, where Kim Jong-un is destined to reap 99% of all votes, and the other 1% will be executed. Big tech knows that they only have to affect a small percentage of the population to change their vote, to tilt the election in the manner that they desire. And from all the evidence I give you, it should be impossible for anyone not to see and acknowledge this pattern. This is real election interference. Tell me how I'm wrong. Tell me how this is not way more substantive and valuable to the people that is benefiting than the $100,000 that the Russian troll farm purchased in terms of Facebook ads in 2016. This should be big news, but you wouldn't hear about it on any social media platform. Share it, like this video, and leave me a comment. Again, if you think I'm wrong, I'm certainly available and want to discuss it with you. Thanks for sticking in with this whole video. Peace out, my friends, and have a blessed day. Peace.